Ronan. We are at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. There's a Psychedelics Summit going on here, and we're here with Ronan Levy, who's executive chairman and co-founder of Field Trip Health, which is a NASDAQ listed company in the psychedelic space. So Ronan, how are you enjoying the conference so far?
I mean, it's been great. I came from Toronto when it was snowing 2 days ago, and it's warm, so I'm happy with the sunshine, but to be quite honest, the energy here is fantastic, and the interest in psychedelics is palpable. I mean, there's so many panels. When people hear what we're doing, like the level of excitement is really incredible, so it's a great place to be.
Yeah, today and tomorrow there are some very interesting panels on psychedelics within the festival, which lasts like 8 days, I think, so there's a lot going on. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Field Trip, what you guys are doing in the space, and just your place in the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So within Field Trip, we have two operating divisions. We have Field Trip Health and Field Trip Discovery. Field Trip Health is building out the clinical infrastructure to deliver psychedelic therapies. So we've got 12 clinics around the world right now, 8 in the US, 3 in Canada, and 1 in the Netherlands. In Canada and the US, here comes a party bus. We're providing ketamine-assisted therapy. In the Netherlands, we're providing psilocybin-assisted therapy. And we hope to continue scaling access, because one of the things that needs to be in place in order for psychedelic therapies to create the impact we think they can is building the new spaces to support this, because this is not the kind of care that can be done in a doctor's office. It needs a new infrastructure primarily to deliver the high-quality care that we want to. And so we're seeing amazing results. On average, patients who come through our clinics see their depression symptoms go from severe to mild, and those benefits last for 120 days or more on average, which to my knowledge makes our treatment protocol the single most effective depression treatment that's legally available right now. That's not a scientific statement, but I actually do genuinely believe there's no treatment options more effective than we're offering right now. So that's going incredibly well.
That's the clinic side of the business.
That's the clinic side, that's the Field Trip Health side. And then we have our Field Trip Discovery side, which is really focused on developing the next generation of psychedelic medicine. So a lot of the work to date has focused on molecules like psilocybin, MDMA, molecules that are very effective and powerful medicines, but from a business and an IP perspective, it's really hard to generate a return on investment for the cost of a clinical trial. So we're focused on new chemical entities, next generation psychedelics. Our first one in development, which should start phase 1 clinical trials in a couple of months, is FT104. And what FT104 is, it's a prodrug of 4-HO-DIPT, which for anyone who knows who Sasha Shulgin was, one of the famous psychedelic chemists from back in the day, it was one of his favorite.
So this is just the environment we're living in South by Southwest,
It's the kind of love we need in this world. That's exactly what we're trying to create. So 4-HO-DIPT, it's almost exactly like psilocybin, both in terms of the subjective experience, what it feels like, as well as what's happening in the brain. So it's a really interesting molecule from a clinical administration perspective, because it's like psilocybin, but the duration is about half of psilocybin. So it's really powerful in that respect. But as a molecule by itself, 4-HO-DIPT isn't very stable, it's not very soluble, so it's not great for becoming an FDA-approved medicine. What FT104 is we took 4-HO-DIPT and turned it into a prodrug that's much more stable and much more soluble. So it's got better bioavailability, it's more accessible, but it's got all of those other benefits of 4-HO-DIPT relative to psilocybin that makes it what we think is going to be a medicine that's as effective as psilocybin, but with half the duration, therefore lowering the costs of care, time involved, the amount of time that a person has to spend in a clinic. So we think it's a really powerful next generation psychedelic molecule, and we're excited to get through phase 1 and into phase 2, which should be sometime next year. And we'll continue to develop next generation molecules. So we have other molecules that are in the pipeline. I won't say that because I think pipeline technically has a meaning.
It already started clinical trials or
we're not that far. We're preclinical. We've got our FT200 series as well, which is going to be our second pipeline project when we get to it. We're focusing on molecules that have safer profiles than the classic.
So these are improved versions of classic psychedelics, which are being developed right now for mental health.
That's exactly right. So as good or better than the classic psychedelics, but with better profiles, either in terms of safety or duration, and with IP. So from an investment perspective, we can help our investors make their money back, I think, a little bit more easily than trying to work with the classic psychedelics.
Good. Something I love about your business model is that you have these clinics that are sort of getting early revenue to maybe support, your pipeline for other drugs. So what we're looking at here in terms of the whole market is probably we'll get the first approved psychedelics, aside from ketamine, which is MDMA, next year probably, approved by the FDA.
Yep.
And then how many years ahead are you looking at the approval, an estimate for your first molecule?
Yeah, you're right. So timing for MDMA is expected to be next year. I think Compass Pathways, which is the next most advanced clinical trial, is looking at about 2025 for the approval of psilocybin. We're hoping that FT104 should get to approval around 2026, maybe 2027. Our first indications are going to be postpartum depression and treatment-resistant depression.
Wow.
And so they're serving a very significant market and a need, which is great. But one of the things that's nice is we were first movers in building in our clinics. We wanted to get out ahead of the curve because we saw the coming wave. We saw the emergence of this industry happening when we started this work back in late 2018. But from a drug development perspective, it's actually better to be a second mover, right?
Yeah.
Because MAPS doing the MDMA trials, Compass Pathway, they're going to be doing all the hard work to build the regulatory pathways to approval.
Yeah.
We're going to get the benefit of all that hard work. They're going to show us the way. We'll be able to take advantage of it. And then we believe FT104 is going to be a better choice, at least than psilocybin. MDMA is a different class of drug relative to psilocybin. And so we think we have a great product that's going to benefit from all the work that Compass is doing, and we encourage them, and we're very excited about the work we're doing. And I think we'll come out with like a next generation product that's going to be, we think, better than classic psilocybin.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So going back to the clinic side of the business, I was having an interesting discussion yesterday with an investor in the space that she was telling me there are going to be, maybe around 500 more ketamine clinics in the US in the next year, but that the chain model of clinics is beneficial in many ways. So what ways do you think that having, a chain of clinics is better than, just the mom and pop stores?
There are a number of ways that I think a chain model is superior. What we're focused on right now is consistency of experience. We live in a world where people are moving and going around. So, if we're not in Argentina yet, but say you're in Argentina and you had an experience of field trip, we want to make sure that if you came to New York or LA or Toronto or Vancouver, you're going to have a consistent experience. So that's one thing, because inconsistency of psychedelic experiences is one of the big challenges. Depending on who your therapist is, depending on the environment and the circumstances, it can lead to very different outcomes. And so trying to provide that consistency and credibility so people feel confident every time they walk into one of our clinics that it's going to be a positive experience, I think is critically important. The other thing that we're focused on, we don't talk about it too much, is actually building community. One of the things that seems to be established more and more, that a lot of the mental health challenges we're experiencing these days, there are a number of factors that go into it, but one of them seems to be disconnection, like a loss of connection from other people, from family, from friends, just to the community around you. And with Field Trip, because we're focused on building out a chain, but we also have our Trip app that's building a community of people who are interested in psychedelics. We're actually focused on solving one of the big problems that lead to mental health challenges, which is community, feeling connected. Psychedelics can help us work through the emotional challenges and the traumas that cause us to disconnect. But to take that to the next level, it's not just about healing that, it's about feeling accepted, feeling seen, feeling loved by the people around you. And so if we can build that community, not only do we have a great business, but we have something that's much more scalable as well.
Wonderful. Okay, well, Ronan, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Enjoy the conference.
I will.
And it's your ticker is FTRP at the NASDAQ.
We're FTRP on the NASDAQ or the TSX.
Wonderful.
Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Good.